An open letter to ABA parents. For the last 10 months, I have been working as a behavioral technician, or BT for short, and I want to share some of the things that I have learned personally throughout my job and throughout the career that I picked for myself. And I find it very important that parents who have children or a child with autism spectrum disorder are made aware of these little, more small aspects of their child's diagnosis, and more importantly, following up with treatment planning and making sure that that is in check. So one of the most important parts of ABA is having a treatment plan put in place by BCBA. This treatment plan looks at skill acquisition, so things that we want the child to be able to do, like language skills, communication skills, social skills, pretty much anything that they have a deficit in that they really need to improve upon is the more skill acquisition portion of it. And then we have the things that are in surplus, like tantrums and self-interest behaviors and defiant behaviors and tantruming. I think I already mentioned that, but that are also part of the treatment plan, except this time, instead of wanting to increase the behaviors, you want to decrease the behaviors, or problem behaviors, if you will. So throughout my time as a BT, I have had 3 different clients. 2 are from the same agency, and the last one I most recently got assigned to from a different agency that I recently been employed at. And consistently throughout me working with these families, I've noticed several different things. A lot of the time when parents are more or less mandated or obligated to participate in ABA therapy, it's an unwelcome thing because you have some stranger entering your home several times a week for several hours, and you don't get the time and the freedom and the autonomy to do the things that you want to, and you kind of lose a little bit of your privacy. So I can understand why someone would feel resistant to doing this type of therapy, but at the end of the day, it's still for your child, not for you. And I firmly believe that your child's interests are more important than your own, because you are able to have autonomy over what your own behaviors are. A child, especially a child with a developmental disability like autism spectrum disorder, doesn't have that kind of capability. So making sure that that person is treated with the utmost respect and given the best therapy and hopefully the best life that they can get out of it. And I don't think that the discomfort, I guess you could say, is worth getting rid of therapy for your child. I've noticed that historically there's been a lot of cancellations, especially during the beginning stages, which is problematic because those are the times in which you're pairing or building rapport with your child. And you got to really make sure that during those first few sessions that you're building a solid rapport base. However, if you are canceling every other session, it's going to take a lot more time for that child to trust you and to build that sort of relationship with the child. So it's important to consider, especially when you're first starting off with a new BT or a new BCBA, you need to make sure that you are being consistent with your schedule. You guarantee this person a certain amount of hours, and that's what you're guaranteeing your child in terms of therapy. And by you canceling once a week or every other day or whatever it might be, you're not ensuring that that child is getting, the proper care that they need, which is really upsetting, especially from a person's perspective as a paraprofessional, where I'm actually being the one doing a large part of the therapeutic portions of ABA. It's frustrating to see that the work you're putting into getting this child to progress and getting that skill acquisition is being tossed in the toilet because the parent isn't willing to follow up and make sure that everything is being taken care of. Cancellations are a huge no-no. You really, really, really should keep them at a bare minimum in general. And once, the parents start trusting the BT and BCBA more, I've noticed that, the rate of cancellations decrease. They're not completely gone, but they definitely do decrease. So I noticed that within, the clients that I have worked with over the past almost a year. The other thing that I want to address with parents is the need to trust the judgment of the behavioral technician. And the reason why I say this is because that is the person you're going to be seeing at your home the most. And, they're being every single BT, RBT, any paraprofessional is getting their material, they're getting their programs, they're getting all that stuff, advice on how to implement these programs. They're getting it all from the BCBA, who is a full-blown out professional with a master's degree in applied behavioral analysis or a related field. So everything that I speak to a client's family is the stuff that my BCBA is trying to implement, because we have to keep that very tight knit so that everyone's on the same page and there's no room for, or very limited room for, misinterpretations. If I come to you and I say, hey, when we're having a tantrum, we need to give this child space, because by feeding them and providing them with preferred items like food and drinks and stuff like that, while giving a very coddly type of environment where they're constantly being stroking of the hair and providing physical affection, and how that's just contributing to the progression of the tantrum, because now not only is the child receiving the kinds of emotional sort of things, the attention that they want, but they're also getting access to preferred items while they're having a tantrum, which is just reinforcing the tantrum. And it tells the child, hey, if I act in this behavior, I get coddled and I get food and drinks that are preferred items. In other words, it's just simply perpetuating the issue. And I understand a lot of, especially mothers, I've noticed, a lot of mothers have the tendency to coddle their children because they're their babies. They want to make sure that they're happy and healthy. And it's obviously not a pleasant sign to see that your kid is, in serious distress. So perhaps the concept of just letting it be, letting the child's emotions self-regulate, is a distressful topic even for the parent. But if your BT, BCBA are telling you that you need to give the child room and you need to not provide attention to the child in whatever shape or form that takes, continually provide this kind of reinforcement that is not beneficial to the child, at that point you are not trusting the judgment of your paraprofessional and your full professional. And if you're not trusting them and their judgment and the science behind ABA, then what is the point of this entire, thing if you're not willing to work with us? In that respect, it's really on the parent to just trust that we know what we're talking about. And that can be especially distressing when, it's a new person that you're a new person that you are required or obligated to have entering into your home. Because if you work against us, you're working against the best outcome for your child. Because we receive training and education. And, it's important, absolutely essential, that you trust our judgment and that you don't conflict with what we're saying, because if the child is receiving mixed messages, they're going to go for the one that's most favorable to them but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the most favorable to their therapy and progression throughout their lives. And one of the last things I want to touch on is parent training. So for people who are out there just listening to this, just because they're interested, parent training is usually like 15 to 30 minutes once a week where they, the BCBA goes and they instruct the parents on how to interact with their child, the different kinds of programs that are being implemented, and how they can and should implement similar procedures when dealing with their child in these problem behaviors and working on skill acquisition. So it is absolutely essential for the parent to understand and know what to do when the BCBA or the BT or the RBT leave the house. Because if you're, maybe hypothetically, even if you go through while the, paraprofessional or professional are inside the house, even if you go through that process and be compliant, if you're not implementing those same programs in the way that you're supposed to implement them while your paraprofessional and your professional are out of the home, it's discounting everything that is being taught, and it's making a very toxic environment for the child to learn what, and develop, the skill acquisitions and learn how to decrease the amount of problem behaviors, or excesses, if you will. So this is my opinion, I guess you could say. But I fully think that my opinion is based in, reality, especially since I have communicated these things with my own BCBA. So, and we've communicated and talked about it and, learned things from it. So take of this what you will, but if you are a parent with a child with a developmental disability like autism spectrum disorder, please consider some of these things that I am saying in this video, because at the end of the day, your child's health and well-being and ability to function in society is the absolute most important thing. And maybe you feel a level of discomfort letting people into your home several times a week for several hours a day. That is perfectly understandable. You want your privacy, you want your ability to do your own things. But at the end of the day, if you are participating in this therapy, it is for your child's benefit. So, you not participating in it is actually actively harming them. So please consider that while you make your decisions on how to approach this.